This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening, I'm Sabrina Brown. Thank you for joining us. It's day 2 of the 2016 Atlantic hurricane season, and NEMA officials say Grand Bahama remains in a state of readiness. However, there is one concern about sufficient shelters. Italia Hall has the details.
The Grand Bahama Disaster Consultative Committee has been working around the clock to ensure that a contingency plan is in place. Co-chair of the organization, Tammy Mitchell, says monthly meetings were held to discuss the committee's preparedness plan.
We've already identified certain areas of weaknesses, for example, areas that are prone to flooding. There's also need for more transportation in terms of assistance for disaster relief. So these are things that we're addressing at all levels, utilizing the services of the government agencies as well as private partners.
There are 9 hurricane shelters this time around, and Mitchell is making an appeal for more residents to get on board because she says more shelters are needed.
It has to have bathroom facilities for both male and female. It has to have adequate access in and out. We know that a lot of the churches do sometimes try to use those facilities for their own parishioners, but we're encouraging them to open them to the general public, because when you're talking about it, about life, you're talking about your own people.
She's also encouraging persons to listen to their local television and radio stations for accurate information and not rely on social media.
Once it gets out to you, it's already certifiable information from, for example, the Met Office or from the Cabinet Office or from anybody who needs to get the word out. We can't stop everybody from reaching out to social media, but however, with social media, because of social media, you can get the good and the bad.
Mitchell says now is the time for all residents on Grand Bahama to prepare for the 2016 hurricane season if they haven't already.
You want to make sure you're checking your roofs, you're checking your insurance policies, and making sure that that is up to date and adequate for what you would need to replace in the event that you're faced with a disaster or a threat.
Mitchell adding that NEMA warehouse is fully stocked and ready in the event of a disaster. She is also cautioning residents who own generators.
Please make sure that you know how to operate the generators properly. We already had some unfortunate incidents with persons utilizing generators, but the use of generators, if you're not familiar with it, get someone who can actually show you how to operate it properly, and you want to make sure that they're not kept inside of a home.
It's Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
A leader of the Vote No campaign is on Grand Bahama for the second time, urging Grand Bahamians to vote no. Pastor Lyle Bethel tells Cleopatra Murphy why Bahamians cannot allow the 4 gender equality bills to become law.
Pastor Lyle Bethel, a leader of the Save Our Bahamas Vote No campaign, is imploring Bahamians not to be complacent and to cast their votes in the June 7th gender equality referendum because he says the issues are too important to allow a minority to decide. The campaign held a forum at Central Church of God Wednesday night where he shared his view that everyone should vote no.
This is a binding referendum, and it's very important that they express how they feel in the voting booth, not by not showing up. Every vote counts. If only 50 people show up, 26 will decide on what this country is going to, which way it's going to go in terms of the referendum.
Bethel insists the bills, particularly Bill 4, that seeks to make it unconstitutional to discriminate on someone based on sex, are a ruse to bring about same-sex marriage. He says the Constitutional Commission expressed initial concerns about same-sex marriage, not the No campaign, and believes the Bahamas is bowing to external pressure.
There are global forces from without. We know what Joe Biden has said, that homosexual rights and civil, quote-unquote, civil rights, now that's the code word for homosexual rights now, trumps all other rights, and that they will use the full force of the U.S. government to force homosexual marriage on the entire Caribbean.
Bethel is also expressing concern about the symbolism used on the ballots, the scales of justice for yes and the gate for no. He says it suggests people who vote no are wrong and says the Bahamas is on a slippery slope.
We believe if we get on this kick to be like the rest of the world, we're going to have the same moral confusion that's going on in North Carolina, where you've got people talking about men being in women's bathrooms and so forth. Come on, we're talking a totally confused society. As Dame Sawyer said, we see an America at war with itself.
Bathel says the first 3 bills can be fixed through legislation in Parliament, so he is urging Bahamians to vote no to all. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
The Say Yes campaign proceeding with its educational sessions to ensure members of the public are better informed before they cast their votes. They held a session at Universal Household of Faith this week where Bishop Ricardo Grant serves as senior pastor. Grant says because the country may be making important amendments to the Constitution that governs the Bahamas, he wants to ensure his congregation and the Hawksbill community are up to speed on the bills.
Because we live in a democratic society, I want to continue to encourage our people to become persons who read and to make themselves astute and aware of the important issues that concerns us as a nation and as a people, and that we must move away from sensualism and just what we consider to being what we use the term loosely but hearsay and random gossiping, and make ourselves astute of facts before we address or before we even speak.
Chairman of the Hawksbill Community Association, Harold Williams, says the residents have a very important decision to make when they vote on the 4 gender bills that seek to promote equality.
We're happy that the co-chairs of the Yes campaign, they came to Hawksbill. They're making the presentation on the amendments to the questions. And, there's just so much untruth, so much rumors that are being spread, and Bahamians have to understand for themselves. You have to go and read the questions, look at the Constitution, and see for yourself, rather than listening to rumors, how these questions will affect and impact you.
Meantime, the Bahamas Bar Association is also planning a meeting to discuss the gender equality bills. That forum will be held at the Church of the Ascension on Saturday evening at 6:30. In other news, this is Labor Week and events will culminate tomorrow with the annual Sir Randall Fox Labor Day March and Rally. Vice President of the National Congress of Trade Unions in the Northern Region, Javot Cooper, is encouraging all workers on Grand Bahama to join in the Labor Day celebrations.
Massive strides and achievements in the labor movement, and it's because of their hard work and their dedication, along with the labor leaders before us, that we stand and we have gained so much in the workforce today.
Well, the annual march will get underway at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning from the BPSU Hall. Tonight, a former union leader is weighing in on the state of labor in the country. He says there is much work to be done to restore the movement to its former glory days. Cleopatra Murphy has the story.
Former Vice President of the Bahamas Public Services Union Northern Region, Alexander Burrows, says the labor movement in the country needs a new set of leaders to reinvigorate it and restore confidence in the movement. He says unions are facing dwindling memberships because members no longer feel they are a priority, and unions must get back to the basics, which includes strong leaders.
It must come out of the bowels of the union. It must come out of the bowels of the organization. Because we find people who just want to vie for leadership, but they don't have that drive, they don't have that stamina.
His comments come ahead of the annual Sir Randall Fox Labor Day Parade. Burrows says the trade union movement has taken a backward step and must do more to make members feel appreciated. However, he says the issues facing unions are not new.
The membership of the organization has decreased so much throughout the Bahamas because they feel as though that they ask for representation and it takes forever before the leadership comes to the aid of the members.
The former union leader gave his view on the transformation that must take place for unions to return to their peak and rebuild membership. Burrows says unions are fragmented and leadership is at the heart of the matter.
We need strong leadership, and no need be straight over the matter. We need strong leadership with confidence, okay? And that's what needs to happen in the organization. We have it in some areas, but we need to improve on the confidence level in the leadership.
The annual Sir Randall Fox Labor Day Parade will be celebrated Friday, June 3rd, under the theme, Persevering with Persistence. The struggle continues. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us, there's more news after this.